Hey, what's going on? Look, I know I haven't been making videos as consistently as before, but I'm going to get back on it. We're just going through a lot of different things right now, but we're going to get back on it. So this video right here stems from a conversation that I was having with some of the guys that I mentor, right? Athletes that I mentor for the past couple years. And we talk about so many different things, but one of the things we were talking about on this particular day was some of the things that you need in your toolbox and mentality to become an elite athlete and just go on that path. So in this video, I'm going to share four tips that I shared with them, and hopefully it can help you if you are someone who is pursuing that path and that journey, or perhaps you're an elite athlete right now who may just need a reminder of these four things. So let's get into it. So number one, work smarter, not necessarily harder. Look, we all know hard work is a prerequisite for anything, for everything. You want to get to a certain level, you know you have to work hard. You want to stay at a certain level, you know you're going to have to work hard. So we're not talking about hard work. We're talking about working smarter. Let me give you an example. So for me, growing up, I always thought that I had to work harder than the average person. Well, 3 times as hard. And to this day, I still kind of think like that, right? And so every single day that I was training in track and field or any sport, I would be training optimally 100% each and every single day, right? And when you're young, yeah, you can get away with that. But when I turned professional, I realized that I couldn't necessarily take those same philosophies and apply it to that professional switch transition and still have that same amount of success, right? So I remember sitting down with my coach in Phoenix at the time, Stuart McMillan, and we were going through our game plan. You see, I was coming off a whole bunch of injuries and I was really banged up. So I didn't really start training with the group until about November, December. Really, I was in spikes in December, right? So as we're going through our game plan, he said, Akeem, we need to train optimally 3 days a week. I said, 3 days a week? I said, so I have the rest of the days off? I can be at the crib? He was like, no, man. He was like, we are going to train optimally Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So everything that we do is a preparation to train hard on those specific days. And so I was thinking to myself, man, I'm already going to be behind. So I said, cats are out here training hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I'm only training hard 3 days a week, but I tried it, right? And what I realized in that moment was I started to see changes in my body, changes in my cadence and my speed. And so I realized that the best elite athletes are picking their spots, right? They're breaking their training down. So they don't have to work hard each and every single day because their body isn't going to recover the same each and every single day, right? So work smarter, not harder, just means pick the spots that you need to train optimally every single day. You don't want to get to a race or a competition where you've trained so hard leading up to that competition that when you go into that competition, that you got nothing left, right? So it's not always about training harder. You have to train harder as much as it is about training optimally on the days that you have to. Number 2, you got to have short-term memory, right? I know so many of us, take losses to heart. First and foremost, no one likes to lose. I hate to lose. You hate to lose. No one likes to be in a stadium, getting ready to compete and they don't perform to the ability that they know that they can, right? But we have to let go of past competition so we can continue to develop and grow towards the direction that we're trying to go in. A shift happened in my life, in my training life in track and field career when I was about 21, 22 years old at the University of Alabama. After a race, man, I was so discouraged because I was like, man, I was training hard all the way up to the race. Like, what happened? And so I was confused. I just couldn't really understand what was happening. And so immediately after the race finished and it didn't, the time didn't come up, I automatically went into a negative state, right? And it was kind of unhealthy. I was saying, man, I'm never going to get there. Like, I'm never going to get to where I want to be, right? But then I started to think to myself, I said, Akeem, if you always focus on the negative, you'll never be able to find the good. So I shift my mindset in that moment and I said, what is one thing that did go right in this race? What is one thing that you can take from this race and apply it to the next days of your training? You see, I realize, especially in track and field, and I'm sure in many other sports, there's no such thing as the perfect performance. There's always going to be something that we can critique on and work on, right? But when things aren't going so well, you have to have short-term memory. Take something good from it, take that into training, work on it, and say, you know what, I got something to work with here. Even though this area, the race, the competition didn't go well, this is one thing that did go well. And take that and use that as a source of motivation, inspiration to continue developing and to continue getting better. But once a competition that didn't go well is done, look, take the good from it, leave it to the side, and progress forward with what did go right and continue working towards that goal. Short-term memory is very important. You can't take the losses with you, so let it go and let's focus on getting some wins. Number 3, focus on the small details. Man, I can't tell you how important this one is. This is the one that is often taken for granted, because when I say this, you're probably thinking about the sport. I'm not necessarily thinking about the sport as much as I'm thinking about doing the things away from the sport. I always said, when you are doing your sport, let's go back to track and field in this sense, right? Since my background is in track and field, I knew that once people got to the track, everybody was going to work hard. They were going to do the workout. They're going to do all the right things. But I knew where I could get an extra edge was focusing on the small things away from the sport, right? That means when I get home, what am I eating, right? That means when I get home, am I stretching? Am I working out? Am I making sure that I'm doing all of the small things that most people won't do? Not that they can't, but because it's small and they don't think it makes a difference. So make sure that in everything that you do, when you're trying to get to that elite level, it's the small details that will help you get there. Eating right, sleeping right, stress levels are low. Make sure you're getting the treatment that you need, right? Because it is those small things over time that create a longevity of an athlete's career. So we can't focus too much on the big things that we forget about the little things, because it's the little things that help us achieve that big market, right? So don't overlook the small details, right? Make sure you're doing all of the small things right. Not just when you're in the sport, in the track, in your competition, but make sure you're doing all the small things away from the sport as well too, because that is just as important as working hard in your sport. Number 4, last one. This is very important, right? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to get to that mark that you said that you want to get to? You know, I think so many times, man, I see it all the time, right? Like people make these half sacrifices and expect a full result. It's not going to happen like that. Whatever that you're trying to do, whatever level that you're trying to get to, it's going to take a tremendous amount of sacrifice in order to get there, right? I'm not just talking about sacrifices in the sport, whatever sport that you're involved in, right? But there are things you're going to have to do away from your sport, away from people, that you are going to have to make a decision on before you continue going. Because everybody isn't after what you're after. Everybody isn't pursuing what you're pursuing. Everybody doesn't have the same goal and aspirations and dream that you have. And so you have to know that going in, that there's certain sacrifices that you have to make. And maybe you need to write that down and make a list of all the things that you know you need to sacrifice if you want to continue to get to that elite level, because it's not easy. You're not the only one that wants to get to that level. You're not the only one that wants that medal, right? Chances are, if they're in a sport, they're doing it to be the highest pinnacle that they can, right? But what is going to help you maintain that level, along with those 3 other things, is asking yourself, man, what am I willing to give up in order to get to where I want to get to? There's a price that you have to pay. So you got to ask yourself, am I willing to pay full price? And that makes yourself. It's a big sacrifice to get to any elite level, especially in sport, right? Because the margin, when you think about the Olympic Games, right? The margin to get an Olympic medal is hard, right? It's pretty low when you really think about it, right? But the sacrifices when you get to that level will be worth it. So I hope those 4 tips help someone. I hope it encouraged someone, and I hope it was some intangible, realistic steps to help you get to that elite level. So if you've been watching for this long, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more, and we'll see you next time.